Yo,
What is going on?
another Thursday, not Tuesday.
No. Tuesday was 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
Every night feels like a Tuesday when we're going live for everyone. It's
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us once again. Tex and Ads here with you, of course, going over our Thursday night updates. Apologies we didn't do this last Thursday. I was adopting a puppy, so if I look very tired, that is the reason why I am looking extremely tired because of a puppy, but no, he's amazing. So let's get right into it. It's really been a bit of a non-event over the last week or so, for that exception around the 15th where we dipped down to that 8-9 level. Wasn't unexpected, to be honest. Not to pull our own legs, but we did call that really well publicly inside the Discord as well, where we said that level between 8-9 and 9,000 was going to be the most significant level, where there was the highest level of buying volume from our analysis, which we shared with our group. Admittedly, didn't expect a reaction or sort of a selling climax and then buy up quite that heavy, going back up towards 9.5. As we started getting towards, I think it was at 9.324, where I said to the guys, I think we could go as high as 9.6, which we spoke about on Tuesday night, which we did, and we've started to retrace since then, and sitting pretty sort of no trade zone-ish, really, I guess, if you will. It really could go either way at this point here. It looks to be sort of, I don't know how you would call that, but looking at the buy side liquidity, there is a lot of buys set on BitMEX at the moment, or through a number of exchanges at around 9.3, 9.250. There's a lot of buys set at that point there for longs, which could be a great opportunity for the whales just to blast straight through them and to liquidate all those positions. We're seeing that pretty regularly, where we have these moves where we go up, we blast any shorts, and then we blast any longs for late last minute sort of longs.
Yeah.
Saying again, we blast up, we blast down, we blast up, we blast down. It's just a perfect opportunity for these whales just to be making massive dollars at the moment, and unfortunately everybody gets fooled by it. And that's why we've been saying for such a long time, like, before either we break below 8.8 convincingly, or we break above 10.5 convincingly, we're still just ranging in this zone. We have not really left this zone this entire time. So and I really clearly remember saying this about a month and a half ago, that if we just do continue going on and rallying in this zone that we have, this will be the time for alts to flourish. And we're still continuously seeing alts having really nice runs, a number of which we've shared inside the Discord just in the last 24 hours, which we'll share with you in just a moment. I'll also share with you a couple of altcoins that I'm looking at currently for upside moves, which goes to show that there's still quite a bit of liquidity in alts being played. Admittedly, a number of those are still low caps, but we saw last night, which we called inside the Discord, ADA did 6%. We're seeing one thing that I said to the guys was, you look when we had these alt, like these mini alt seasons. This one's been a little bit longer than the last sort of preceding ones that we've had, but it goes in stages. We see low cap coins pump, we see mid cap coins pump, then we see high cap coins pump, and we're kind of at that mid cap coin pump sort of level. We saw Strat, Cis. What else was like a couple of like lower cap ones like RLC. We're looking at RVN at the moment for potential moves to the upside as well. Algo, Ion, which we've all been speaking about inside the Discord. So that's still showing me that there's still a fair bit of liquidity that's being pulled from BTC in the majors or FBTC or the USD pairs, and there's still quite a lot of participants still playing with the alts. So that gives me confidence that we're not going to see massive dramatic BTC moves just yet, but admittedly Thursday night, and what concerns me a little bit right now is that we've spoken about this a million times, Monday mornings, Monday evenings, Wednesday nights or Thursday evenings, we tend to see pretty volatile moves on BTC, and we haven't quite seen that as yet, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous to be in any too deep of BTC, any alt positions at the moment. But for the minute, and as we see it, it's a little bit sort of flat. It's a little bit of a no trade zone for me personally on the 4 hour. We can see that Steamroller here is really just sitting within this parallel channel. Admittedly, we have looked to have gotten a little bit of a potential confirmation entry signal for a long from here on Steamroller. CCI, not paying a great deal of attention to that. The only time I really look is when we get divergent signals like this, and RSI kind of sitting flat. We know, and we've said multiple times, that the 50 tends to be a significant level for RSI, whether it's acting as a bit of an invisible level of support or resistance, depending on what side of the 50 that we are. So for me right now, ads, this certainly just looks like a little bit of a range for us. So not really going to make too many calls at which direction goes at the minute. I'm happy to sort of sit back, wait for confirmation, and stay a little bit away from the small time frames at the moment.
I'm seeing a lot of this. I'm seeing a few bits and pieces being floated around, which is that.
Yeah.
Where are we? While it is, technically speaking, valid only on the shorter time frames, I don't see it really playing out that way, to be honest, and I don't know if we're going to see some more bursts to the upside within the next 12 hours or 24 hours. I did mention in the Discord that the 38 was going to be pretty significant in terms of this recovery, if this is going to continue, this push up out of this zone, from the 61.8 or 9,000 mark. And it's proven not to be successful getting past that. So honestly, Ty, and I did mention in the Discord today, very briefly, honestly, that it was looking a little bit weak, and that would probably test the waters back at the 50 again over the course of tonight and probably tomorrow. And I still do think that's the case. And then, knowing well and truly that this level of demand is gone and our next level is the 8,800 mark. So yes, that's my long-term goal on the macro scale. But if we do see some upside, if we do, I'm only looking, towards, 9-8 Ty. I don't think there's going to be any more movements past that, that I can foresee happening in the next little bit. But I'm very much the same as you. This is a no trade zone for me. I am looking for more significant levels, obviously at 8.8 and 9.8. But I'm waiting for that break, waiting for that that explosion again out of this zone that we're finding ourselves in, and then taking more considerable positions or taking more meaningful ones at those major pivot points, Ty.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to look at this, whether it be like this, whether it be like this sort of thing, whether you want to call that sort of a descending, broadening wedge. So we would have something like this play out, and we've seen that a couple of times before previously as well. And should we come back down and then test this 50, this is really going to be a significant level here, because we've said this a number of times beforehand. When this was breached for the first time, we said that, and for those that don't understand supply and demand, every time that this demand zone is penetrated, and the beauty of supply and demand is that you're able to gauge the strength of the move to the downside or the upside, depending on how far it penetrates. It's very similar to what a support or resistance level would be. The more times that it's tapped, the weaker that the support or the resistance level sort of comes. So we've had this tap now, these pretty significant taps through this. Should we tend to revisit this again? I have not a great deal of confidence of it holding this up. The only thing that I guess is sort of the bit of confidence here is this overall downtrend line, which is sort of propping BTC up, if you would. But technically, looking at things here, we are in a descending structure. We've not made higher highs just yet. So looking at what we've got there, this sort of move could potentially be sort of valid as well. Do we have one last dip to the downside like this, which brings us back down potentially towards that 8.8 or that 8.7 mark, potentially this demand zone again, or indeed down towards 9 before a potential move back up towards the upside, which would be moving sort of consistently with all the buy side liquidity that's sitting at around that 9.2, 9.3. But people would have admittedly probably pretty moderate stops there. So one last blast down to this 8.7 or 8.6 level could very well do it, and then we could potentially move back up again. But I'm interested to have a little bit of a look on the daily ads to see what it's telling us in terms of our structure and our indicators, and we'll have a look at volume as well. And we're looking at 1 day on the Bitstamp chart.
Yeah, so the Bitstamp chart, we're still, sort of moving sideways a little bit, Ty, where we've got our own steamroller indicator moving just to the right-hand side. No clear direction yet. We are pointing a little bit to the downside, but nothing significant. RSI is the main one that's just rolling to the right, and we're not making any sort of clear decision on direction. CCI in the same boat there. The only thing we can tell you right now, Ty, is that we are seeing descending volume, and then and obviously our market structure is to the downside right now, and the next daily level that I'm looking at is this pivot here at 8.758.
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with that. And for the people that are trading this, it's been pretty textbook sort of buys just off demand here. You can be pretty confident that your buys are going to be filled, and you're going to be getting a little bit of profit from a buy at that particular zone. We're not saying buy at that zone, but looking historically from the reaction that we've had off it has been pretty decent, with the exception of this scam wick. But you can see the sort of the wicks are starting to get a little bit more sort of severe, which might correlate with one more wick down to that 8.7 or that 8.6 sort of level, and then a buy up from there. But looking at our volume profile ads, our VPVR, what is that telling us when we've zoomed out a little bit here?
So we are trending below the point of control, Ty, if we take in all this info. Point of control now sitting at 9.524. So an interesting take, and obviously we've got a little bit of a node here, and then more significant volume sitting around that 8.8 level.
Yeah, and again, that's sort of what leads me to believe that if we do drop, that's going to be a pretty significant level of support around there. Mm-hmm. And then it's pretty much just a big old chasm underneath that, which you talk to guys like Chimp Zoo and Flood, they're talking about 7.1 sort of levels. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm personally seeing that just yet at this particular stage. I'm sort of more concentrating on what's immediately ahead of us. And we can sort of look at this structure to the left as well. It's a pretty significant drop. Should we confidently break below that sort of 9.2? Because you can see beforehand, like we've never really closed confidently below this area. It's really just been an automatic reaction off that selling climax and a little bit of a buying up from that particular level. So looking at where those levels are there as well, that could be a little bit of support, which lines up with essentially lines up with the bottom of demand around that sort of level. And then you've got a pretty decent drop there, which works in quite well with what that volume and that liquidity, that buy liquidity, is telling us in our VPVR. So again, descending volume here too. So there's not Not a great deal really telling us again the 50 acting as a level of support right now. Our CCI starting to trend towards the bottom of the parallel channel, and our steamroller still pointing down. That's pretty abysmal right now. So yeah, happy to stand back and wait for confirmation of where we're headed. But if I had to guess right now, looking at the 1 day time frame, I think this is more than likely going to be revisited, and then from there, it's certainly a matter of a fight between the Bulls and the Bears as to where we go from there. So
Mm.
don't have too much of a plan in place. Stick to your TA, but certainly trade what's in front of you. Don't preempt too many things. Just trade what's immediately in front of you. Stay at the 4 hour and the 1 day, as our friend Crypto Says had told us in the Trade Hacker podcast episode, which you can find at unitytradinggroup.com/Crypto Says. You've got to build that narrative across the time frame. So start with your daily time frame. What does that tell you? Go down, whether it be your 12 or your 4, and start building a little bit of a story. What does the picture tell you as to where you can place your trades or your entries or your exits, depending on what the charts are telling you? So next, I think it's important that we go over to see what FUSD is doing. Again, pretty flat. I'm using FUSD at the moment, the USD pair ADSI. You want to look at the USD pair, man?
Oh, sorry, excuse me.
So
Yep.
still kind of using FUSD as a little bit of a canary to sort of see
Yeah.
what it's doing. It tends to, on the smaller time frames at least, it tends to give us an idea of where BTC want to head. The last couple of moves that we've had on BTC have been preceded by moves on FTC, FTC on USD. So I'm watching this still closely to see what it's sort of telling us. Again, if we put our volume profile on that ads, I would imagine that some of the liquidity would line up with our, if you zoom out, I reckon just a little bit.
Let's go like maybe if we do the visible visible range.
Yeah, we can do a visible range as well.
Yeah, I'll do the visible range. Get that in there. Or fixed range, sorry, excuse me. Let's go like that. Yeah, it's still it's at $100, but you know, whether or not oops.
Yeah, that's where we've seen the most liquidity. But looking at what we've got there, I guess
Yeah.
those high volume nodes are lining up quite well with this demand zone as of here, and that 211 zone on FUSD, which would be a little bit of a gift if we tend to make our way back down there. We can see how accurate our custom indicator steamroller has been in the past for moves to the downside, and we're getting it yet again. And until we print some sort of signal on steamroller, we can make the assumption that we're potentially in a bit of a downtrend as we are, because we're still making lower highs and lower lows at this point. We're still in this descending structure, and looking at our indicators again, the 50 holding us up, CCI not paying too much attention to that, and quite pitiful volume, to be honest. So again, while that looks and it is bearish, it does still make me a little bit nervous, because this is the point where participants are sort of sitting on their hands and they're not planning for too much, and then bang, we get a really dramatic move to the upside or the downside. And coming into the weekend without a dramatic move as of yet, it pricks my ears up. So if we don't see anything by the weekend, I would be very confident of a weekend scam wick to be occurring. So those playing at leverage, please just have responsible position sizes, responsible leverage, responsible stops. Don't be cowboys and try and revenge trade if you've lost something on this scam wick, or if you're just eager or hungry for some sort of price action to occur. Just be patient. Like, there's so many opportunities in this market. Or play in alts. Come and join us and come and play with the alts, because the returns on alts at the moment are just spastic. So and there's still plenty of opportunity. So, Ads, what are your thoughts on ETH, man?
Very aligned with your own, mate. The with ETH USD, I'm really looking at that market structure alongside this level of demand there, where we've penetrated majority of the way through now, and that's just a pause in the market. It's not really a market pivot point, so it's a very low quality demand level, where we've got the much higher one down here, or even if you wanted to draw it around the 200 mark, you could also. So those two levels are looking more significant to me. Probably more likely going to see that 200, 205 level first. If we decide to come down and push through this level again and continue this trend downwards, and it is looking like we're going to have that sort of scenario with Steamroller giving us that overbought level at around the 249. So yeah, look, my thoughts very much align with you, and that 6-1 would be a nice buy up or a nice gift for a pickup on FUSD. But in the grand scheme of things, with supply and demand in general, I'd be looking here and here, Ty.
Yep, I think that's pretty damn good. Yeah, the first stop for me personally is that 50 at around essentially exactly what you've got there, 211, 212.
Yeah.
And from there I'll take my chances on any potential sells or buys. But for myself, and I've been very open about this, I've been very heavy in USDT for a little bit now, with BTC sitting there, and the majority of the BTC that I have in there is just to buy the BTC alt pairs. So I think this is probably the longest I've ever been in cash. After we did pretty good on the run beforehand, and selling out at around 9.8. I didn't get that move to 10.5, unfortunately. I think I had a little position which I chopped at, I think 10 to 10 or something like that, which was minor. But this is the longest that I've been in cash for, and this is really testing my patience a lot. But it's really also teaching me a lot about my own level of patience when it comes to this, and not having that emotional attachment to having to be in a trade all the time. Being content and cutting losses and taking profits on wins, and stacking those sats and those dollars away, and just waiting patiently for something to come and to present itself. And for me, I'm still standing by my predictions for ETH this year. I still think it will be great returns on ETH. We also need to look and see that whilst there has been, I guess you would say, a little bit of a decoupling from the traditional markets over in the States, we're still very much aligned with what the macro global economic situation is doing when it comes to BTC the majority of the time. So I'm still considering a lot of options before I go too heavy in ETH or BTC, expecting moves to the upside just yet.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's get into some alts. We'll keep this short. Alts have been really good to us lately. They've been a real gift. I've only taken one position on BTC in the last week, which was that short, which I was very thankful for. But have been looking at and trading alts more actively. The last couple have been in the last sort of 48 hours. Before that, I'd not taken an alt trade in about a week and a bit either, just sort of taking a step back from the charts, which I highly encourage anybody to do for your own mental well-being. Mine, like I said, was because I just bought a puppy. I'm having to spend all the time with my pup and not being able to sit in front of the screens. But the first one I want to have a look at is ETHBTC, because that's, again, our canary down the mine. What is ETHBTC doing? Because a lot of the times we're seeing what ETHBTC is doing, and the other alts are emulating that. And I think I might have sent ads a screenshot on that, but I can just quickly recreate this here.
This one here, bro. I got it for you right there.
Yep, ETHBTC. So still very much doing the same thing. We're still in this, and I had to redraw this the other night because I was demonstrating for our guys the other night what's happening. So again, still in this Gigantor W formation. We can see that our sort of volume node is aligning a little bit with what our 50 and our Itchy Cloud is doing. This is on the 2-day. And I got asked the other night why I use the 2-day or the higher time frames on the crypto Itchy settings, being the 2061, 2030 settings. So they're like a double traditional settings, because it just tends to give me better high time frame outlooks of where things might trend should they move. So still very much we're just testing this downtrend line at the moment without any really sort of significant reaction. But what this looks like to me, it feels a little bit like what ADA was when it was testing this downtrend line before another continuation or a move upwards. which would align sort of with around maybe the 27,574 sat mark. But I've got to be realistic in looking at our OBV. There is some order book volume coming into this, but also looking at two of my most reliable indicators being Steamroller and Stotch. They aren't looking phenomenal from there, but really what I'm looking for is a reaction around this 24, let's say 24.4 mark on ETH, which would be the 50 fib, and this cloud support sort of level. We can see from here, which very much could be an option if that doesn't hold. We've got the 100 and the 50 MA support there, and we've really got our point of control and our 200 MA acting as a pretty significant resistance, which we can see in the past it has there. So if we go back to your chart ads and look at the 1 day, really looking at where we are right now, again, a little bit of a no man's land, not too much sort of anything sort of significant happening. This is where I'm looking for a reaction. If we can bounce back off that and head back up potentially towards this supply zone. Should we not hold this position, then yeah, this is looking a little more likely to me at around that 23.5 sat mark, and again, declining volume as well.
The only thing that concerns me with this sort of structure, Ty, is when we have retested this supply multiple times and we haven't even made a dent yet.
Yeah, and we've still got this descending sort of structure there, but don't count out BTC just yet. For this to just continue sort of trending sideways is definitely not a terrible thing either, because it allows alts to do their thing whilst BTC and FUSD pairs sort of trend sideways as well. So while I'm not actively trading BTC, I'm looking at it to gauge the strength of other alts. So that can just stay there and do its thing for the time being, which would be just lovely.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, let's have a quick look at a couple ones. If we go inside the Discord ads, we'll share a couple of alt setups, which I've been actively sharing with our guys over the last little bit, which have thankfully have played out quite well. ADA was one of them.
Let's have a look at ADA.
Algo was one of them as well.
That's ADA?
Yeah, so that was the ADA call that we shared last night. Again, you can go to the Discord to why this setup is just so predictable. Not going to go through it, but we had a bounce off the 50. We got a bit of an uptrend here as well. Our volume profiles are clearly telling us where we're headed. We had a nice reaction on that. I think we ended up doing just under 5.9% or something like that on ADA BTC. So looking for where that's going now, I would probably be looking... And actually, I couldn't even tell you where we are. I'll quickly just bring up my own charts to tell me where we are on ADA BTC, so I can compare it against what I've got there. Oh, we actually did get that. I didn't have that sort of profit, but we did end up hitting our. I'll just share it with you very quickly.
Yeah.
I'll just share the chart with you, man. I won't share my screen. There we go. So we did end up getting that move on ADA BTC to where we had expected it for our guys. So hitting that 78 fib quite well. So I'm going to start looking for the reaction that we might have around this 852 sat mark, where our point of control, just sitting above our point of control, is to look at what the reaction is. If we can come back up, we tend to go back up, hit this, and then continue back on. We might get this sort of formation, which is our bread and butter formation, this W formation, which would be quite nice. So still looking at ADA for that one. So that's one that we're following as well. Another one that we are currently following as well is Algo BTC.
I think... did you want me to bring up the chart from the Discord? I can bring up my chart, but
yeah, just bring up the chart from inside Discord.
Easy, no problem.
So this is another one that we shared last night, Algo BTC, which I'm still following. So we had it at what was it, 2464 sats?
That's the one, right there.
I think that says.
Yep.
And then the reaction that we had off that overnight, we were looking for around 5%. Thus far, with the little wick that we got to the top, we got 6.87. If we bring that one up as well, lads. Yep, 5.01%. So since then we did wick up to 2671, and now what we're doing, I'll just share it with you very quickly again. And what I'm looking for now, sitting at a pretty significant level on the daily chart for algo. Shared that with you as well. So what we're seeing right now is this wick to the upside. We've got a little bit of this sort of this doji candle that's sitting here now, but what it's doing is it's sitting right on this 100 MA, which is really significant, and also this above this cloud. And we can see that our Chiku is also sitting above our cloud. So on a one-day time frame, despite what our indicators are telling us with this injection volume here, still looking pretty decent to me, admittedly. Should we break below, I would say, should we break below sort of 2,450 sats, I'd probably start paying a little bit less attention to this. But where this is sitting right now, this pickup from here could be quite nice. And then the next sort of level that I would be considering would be our 2.7 extension at 2.897, or indeed anywhere up towards this 3.1 sat mark, or this 3.3090 sat mark, which lines up really well with that 200 MA. And that has just been such a bread and butter setup on alts. It's almost like printing money. So it's a pretty decent setup. I'm going to keep my eyes on algo, and I like the volume that's coming into that at the moment. The next one that we are looking at, which I think I might have shared in the charts there with you, ads, is RLC. Now, this is a little bit more of a higher risk sort of trade, and one that I'm cautious on. But what I'm liking about is that it's a bit of a low market sat, or low market cap coin, and I think we saw 146 BTC volume come into that day, and it's only under a $10 million cap altcoin. So what I'm liking about this, I'm seeing this on the 2-day. And again, what I'm finding is that I'm using a combination of obviously my FIBS, volume profile, ICHI, and EMAs. When I find that an EMA has been tapped on the 1-day and it's not giving me the information that I'm after, I go to the 2-day to look for extended information, because with a lot of these alts, you can have a punt. You don't want to be too aggressive, but you also want to think slightly longer term. We're not looking for 40% overnight. And while we get that on a number of alts that we talk about and we share inside Discord, you've also got to think about the sort of the longer term and the macro environment of what alts are doing at the moment. So where we sit right now with RLC is that we are sitting at the bottom of this Kumo cloud. We're also sitting right on the 200 MA support level, which also lines up quite well with these higher volume nodes here to the right hand side. So I think we could come back down as low as sort of 5652. And I think if we broke below this level, being our 50 and our 100 MA, I would cut this. But again, a pretty decent little volume injection coming into this at the moment. Order book volume is looking pretty high. And I still think we've got a little bit of room to move on our RSI as well. So again, that's a 2-day chart, so it could take a little bit of time to play out, but quietly confident on RLC as well. And the last one that I'll share with you that I'm looking at the moment, I don't think I have the chart for it, but the next one I'm looking at is Raven, RVN BTC ads that we shared this morning with our guys.
RVN.
You can either bring up your chart or I'll share a chart with you. I might just even sort of share this one.
Did you have it in the Discord? No.
I did share it in the Discord this morning, yeah, but what I'll do is I'll share this with you now. And if you do want us to share more alt setups, please let us know. You can either comment on this video or come into Discord and share it with us. We've had a pretty good, I'm pretty confident when it comes to alts. So I do like to share these setups because I think my track record and our track record speaks for itself when it comes to alt. So we don't share this to shill anything. We know our audience is not enough to pump any sort of coin whatsoever, but we share this because, we like to see people make money. So if you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. I'm happy to share this. I'm always just a little bit cautious with alt because some people see them as the get rich quick schemes and they go far too deep into alt positions, which you certainly should not do in any position whatsoever.
Absolutely.
But RBN's another one we're looking at. So why am I looking at this? Well, we can see right now we've got and I think we actually I think we played this. I think 212 was my original entry on that we were talking about. I think it was 208 was the original entry that we shared inside the Discord. And I think you were looking at this one at the same time too, man, because I'm not going to lie, I had a little sneaky check at your chart before I had a look at my chart as well, and they aligned pretty well. So I took an entry on it, but it was really slow to play out. It was around this point here, or maybe this point here. I can't quite remember. It feels like an eon ago. But anyway, long story short, what I'm looking at here, we've got cloud and 50 resistance currently. We've had a little bit of a tap of this downtrend line. We're testing it right now. We can see that these volume nodes are lining up quite well with buy side liquidity. You can see that we've also got a similar formation here that we had on FBTC, that we've had on ZRX, BAT, BNB, Algo, a whole bunch of coins do this W formation, my bread and butter setup. And right now we've got this 100 MA resistance. We could do something like this where we come and tap and then we bounce back up. We could also do something like this and then another move up. But right now, looking at what we had there on RVN, I'm sort of quietly confident if we can break confidently above this 100 MA and confidently above this Kumo, I would be confident in a potential run up towards that 200 MA, probably more likely towards sort of 258 and 266 sat.
Yeah.
So those are my three alts that I'm looking at this week amongst a ton, which we're sharing inside the Discord at the moment. So if you are still trading alts, you're most welcome to come over and join us at unitytradinggroup.com. There's a free entry into the public Discord, which I'm sharing a number of alt setups. We do daily BTC setups in there now, which we haven't done for a long time, that a lot of people are really enjoying and finding value from. So hope you're doing quite well with your trades. We love doing this, and we're really excited to be back after having a hiatus last week. If you want to know any questions, come over and have a bit of a chat, have a trade. We're always there, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye. Nice.
Cool, bro.